Hello and welcome once again to the HIM tutorials, as it's me Poonam and I'm here again to help you in your online study. Chapter 1 crop production we are doing, and the basic agriculture practices we were discussing, and we have discussed up to the fourth practice, that is irrigation, and today we are going to discuss about few more practices, that is 5th, 6th and 7th practice, and let's see what are the learning objectives in terms of those practices. First we will learn about the weeding, and then we will learn about the protection of crops from the pest, that is called as pest control, and at last we will learn about the harvesting. So without much delay, let's start with the 5th practice, that is protection of crops, from weeds. Now the question here arises that what are the weeds? So weeds are the unwanted plants which are not required in the crop plants, and if they are unwanted plants then we have to remove them. So removing of the unwanted plants is called as weeding. We are removing the unwanted plants. It means it is also a very important step in the basic agriculture practices. So what is the importance of this weeding? Let's check about that first. Weeding is done because these weeds will produce sometimes toxic substances, and these toxic substances are harmful for the growth of the crop plants. Second thing for which we have to go for the weeding, sometimes these weeds are poisonous, and if they are poisonous for us, then they will create harmful effects on the human health and also on the domestic animals. And for the third thing for which we have to go for the weeding, that is they attract the pests. And if they attract the pests, then it is very harmful thing, because if they are going to attract the weevils and grasshoppers, so these weevils, grasshoppers and termites and these pests will just ruin our crop plants. Okay, so these things are done by the weeds, so that's why we are going for the weeding. So what are the methods which are used for the weeding? Let's check them. First method is the mechanical method, and in mechanical method we are going to use very simple implements. The first implement which we are going to use, that is harrow, and harrow is used at that time when we are just going to sow the seed, and at that time the field is almost empty, and if any kind of unwanted weed is present over there, with the help of harrow we will just put out, or we will just uproot that weed from the soil. And the second method, mechanical method, the simple implement we are going to use is trowel. Trowel is also called as khurpi, and when the crop is in standing position, or you can say the crop is just matured up before ripening, that time we will use the trowel, and we will just we will just uproot all the weeds from the crop plants, because these weeds are what? They are the unwanted plants. And this was the first method, that is the mechanical method. Second method is chemical method. So in chemical method we are going to use chemicals, and these chemicals which are used to kill the weeds, they are called as weedicides. Number of weedicides we can go for: butachlor, 2,4-D, then MCPA. So number of weedicides are there which are used to kill the weeds. Okay, and these are the chemicals. The third method is biological method. And if we go for the biological method, then we have to go for some natural things. Natural things like sometimes some insects are very helpful in controlling the weeds. For example, cochineal insect is used in Tamil Nadu to control the weed, that is Opuntia. which is also called as prickly pear. So this weed is just controlled, or this is just eaten up by the insect that is called as cochineal insect. And how surprising is this, that this cochineal insect is not eating the crop plants, but it is only eating the opuntia, that is a prickly pear. Okay. Now the second practice for the day, which is the sixth practice, that is protection of crops from pests and diseases. It is also a very main step. So in this we are going to discuss about number of things. First, protection from the stray animals. So if we go for the protection from the stray animals, then what we can do? We will just use a fence, a high fence on all the corners of the crop field, and this fence can also be used with the help of little amount of electric shock to just keep away the stray animals from the matured crops. Okay. The second thing, we can go for protection from birds. And if we have to go for the protection from birds, then we will use a scarecrow, then we will go for the beating drum, because these all things will scare the birds and birds will fly away. They will not harm or they will not eat the crops. Okay. The third thing, protection from plant diseases. And these plant diseases can be caused by bacteria, fungus, and to get rid of from these plant diseases, we have to go for the use of the fungicides. How we are going to use these fungicides? We will simply soak the seeds in these chemicals before sowing them into the soil, or we are just going to spray these fungicides over the crop plant. And the fourth part, that is protection from the pests, and it is very important part, because pest comprises a large variety of organisms. For example, aphids, termites, weevils, then your grasshoppers, there's a number of insects, rats also. Okay. So these number of organisms are involved in these pests, and the chemicals are used to kill these pests, and these chemicals are called as pesticides. So these chemicals which are used to kill the pest, they are called as pesticides. Okay. The chemicals which are used to kill the weeds, they are called as weedicides, and the chemicals which are used to kill the pests, they are called as pesticides. Now these pesticides, what they are doing, they are just killing the insect, also ruining its life cycle, as it destroyed its eggs, destroyed its larvae, and whole the life cycle of that insect is get destroyed. Pesticides can be used in different categories. Those pesticides which are used to kill, or those chemicals which are used to kill the insects, they are called as insecticides. Those chemicals which are used to kill the rodents, that is rats, they are called as rodenticides. Those chemicals which are used to kill the fungus over the plants, they are called as fungicides. Now these fungicides, or you can say number of pesticides, can be sprayed over the crop plants by two type of things, or you can say that by two type of methods, by manual method also and by with the help of large machines also. We will use manual methods, or we will use hand sprayers at those areas where the crop field are not very big. But in large crop fields, we have to go for large amount of pesticides, and for spraying that pesticides, we can't go for the simple sprayer, hand sprayer. We have to go for big aircrafts, low level aircrafts, which are just spraying the pesticides over a very big and large field with the help of the aircraft, and it is practiced in those areas where the agriculture is set up as the industries. Okay. And what are the precautions which we have to take, or we have to just consider while using these pesticides? Let's check about those precautions. So precautions, first precaution which we have to go for, that is While spraying the pesticide over the crop, the appropriate dose is decided, not more and not less. Okay, so appropriate dosage is decided. Second, that pesticide must not come in direct contact with the mouth, with the nose and skin. With the mouth, with the nose and with the skin, that should not be come in direct contact. Okay, and the third and the most important, that after using this pesticide manually or with the help of machines, high level machines, we have to go for proper cleaning of all those areas of the body which are exposed. Okay, so proper cleaning of exposed areas of the body is very necessary, which we have to take care of. Okay, so this is all about the protection of crops from the pests and diseases. Now the main step, which is the fruit cutting step in case of agriculture, that is the harvesting. And this harvesting is the seventh practice in the process of agriculture practices. Now what is harvesting? Once the crop is mature, so to cut and gather the mature crop is called as harvesting. Okay, and for the harvesting we can go for two types of method. The first method is manual method, and this manual method can be practiced with the help of hands, and in this we can use a simple implement that is called as sickle. And the sickle is used to cut the crops just at very low level from the ground, and these crops are just bundled up, these crop plants are just bundled up, and all the bundles are kept in one side or at the center of the field, and it will be left over there for few days, so that those crops will get just dried off with the help of sun rays. Okay, and the second method is the mechanical method. And in this mechanical method we can go for some complex machines like harvester, and this harvester is just cutting the crops. Okay, and second machine which is used in today's agriculture very frequently, that is combine. And as the combine word shows, combine means in this both the things, harvester and thresher, both the things are done in it, that at the same time the crop is cut and on the same time the grains are collected. So this is all about the three basic learning objectives which we learned today. We have learned about the protection of crops from weeds, in which we have learned that weeds are nothing but they are the unwanted plants, and to remove those unwanted plants, that is called as weeding. Why weeding is important? Because these weeds release toxic substances, they are poisonous and they attract the pests. Also, what are the methods to go for the weeding? We can use mechanical method, in which we will use harrow and trowel as a simple implement. We can go for the chemical method. In chemical method we can use chemicals which are called as weedicides, and in biological method we can use number of small organisms like insects to eat up the weeds. Okay, then we have done protection of crops from the pests and diseases, very important step, because here we are protecting the mature crops from the stray animals, from the birds, from number of plant diseases. They may be bacterial, they may be fungal diseases. Okay, and number of pests. So to protect from number of pests, we are using the chemicals. They are called as the pesticides, and those chemicals which are used to kill the insects, they are called as insecticides, which are used to kill the rats, they are called as rodenticides, which are used to kill the fungal diseases, they are called as the fungicides. What are the precautions which we have to go for? We have to go for appropriate dosage of that chemical should be given. Then that chemical or that pesticide should not be in direct contact with the mouth, nose and the skin. Also proper cleaning of that exposed area of the body after using these pesticides or spraying these pesticides over the crop plants. And the last method which we have learned today, that is the harvesting. And what is harvesting? It is just the cutting and gathering of the mature crops from the field, and that crop plant, that is also called as produce, that is also called as produce or crop yield. Okay, and it can be done by two methods, manual method and mechanical method. In manual method, we will use sickle, and with the help of hands and sickle, we will just cut the crops, we will pile up and we will make a big heap of that crop on the center of that field, and they are left over so that they should be dried off in presence of the sun for some days. And the second method, mechanical method, is that in which again the harvester is used. This harvester is also used to collect number of large bundles, and those bundles are again dried in presence of sun. And the last mechanical method is the most frequently used machine, that is the combine, and combine is doing both the things, harvesting also and threshing also. So at the same time the crop plants are cut in the field, and on the same time we are going to have the grains in our hand. Okay, so this is all about today's session. We have learned about 3 practices, that is 5th, 6th and 7th practice, and 2 more practices are left. So with those 2 more practices, we will meet with each other in next session. So up to that time, keep watching, keep learning. Thank you so much.